I've written the story in a reusable format below. The judge's final decision echoed through the courtroom like a hammer crushing the last pieces of a man's life. As Ethan Walker stood frozen beside his lawyer, he felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. His savings were gone. His house was gone. The business he had spent years helping build was no longer his. Even partial custody of his daughter had been reduced to a painful arrangement that left him feeling like a visitor in her life. When he walked out of the divorce court carrying nothing but a worn leather folder and years of heartbreak, everyone believed they had just witnessed the end of his story. But none of them knew that outside the courthouse, a helicopter was descending from the sky. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that prove life can change in a single moment, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Secret CEO Stories. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. Ethan walked down the courthouse steps under a gray afternoon sky. The cold wind pushed against his suit jacket as reporters and curious bystanders glanced in his direction. Some recognized him from years earlier when he was a successful entrepreneur. Others knew only the headlines about the bitter divorce that had consumed his life. What nobody saw was the pain hidden behind his calm expression. 10 years earlier, Ethan had been a young dreamer working long nights in a tiny garage. He had helped create software that eventually became the foundation of a fast-growing technology company. During those difficult years, he worked tirelessly while raising his daughter Lily whenever he could. Every dollar he earned went into building a future for his family. Success finally arrived, but it brought unexpected problems. As the company expanded, pressure filled every corner of Ethan's life. Meetings replaced family dinners. Business trips replaced weekends at home. Slowly, the marriage he believed was unbreakable began to crack. The divorce was not simply the end of a relationship. It became a public battle that stretched for years. Lawyers argued over assets. Friends chose sides. Rumors spread across social media. Every court appearance seemed to strip away another piece of Ethan's dignity. Through it all, one thing kept him going. His daughter, 8-year-old Lily, was the light in his darkest days. Whenever life felt unbearable, he remembered her laughter, her drawings taped to the refrigerator, and the way she ran into his arms after school. She reminded him why he needed to keep moving forward. Yet even that comfort seemed threatened now. As Ethan reached the bottom of the courthouse stairs, he looked at a small photograph of Lily inside his folder. His eyes filled with tears he refused to let fall. He had lost everything, or so it seemed. Suddenly, a loud chopping sound interrupted the silence. Heads turned toward the sky. People shielded their eyes as a sleek black helicopter appeared above the courthouse. Dust swirled across the pavement. Reporters scrambled for their cameras. Security officers rushed into position. The helicopter slowly descended onto a nearby landing area. Whispers spread through the crowd. Who could possibly be arriving here? Ethan looked confused. He knew nothing about the helicopter. Then the door opened. A sharply dressed older man stepped out and walked directly toward him. The crowd fell silent. Ethan recognized him immediately. It was Richard Bennett. Few people outside the business world knew his face, but insiders knew he was one of the most influential investors in the country. Billion-dollar companies sought his advice. CEOs waited months for meetings with him. Years earlier, when Ethan's startup was struggling, Richard had quietly offered guidance. They had stayed in occasional contact, though Ethan never imagined seeing him here. Richard approached with determination in his eyes. Without saying much, he handed Ethan a thick envelope. Confused, Ethan opened it. Inside were documents that changed everything. Months before the divorce proceedings intensified, Richard had secretly purchased a controlling stake in an aerospace technology company. Unknown to almost everyone, Ethan had been listed as a founding contributor to several patents connected to the company's groundbreaking systems. Those patents had recently become the center of a historic acquisition. The value of Ethan's ownership rights was enormous, staggering, life-changing. Because the ownership structure had been separate from the marital assets under dispute, it had never entered the divorce proceedings. The courtroom battle that seemed to leave Ethan with nothing had overlooked the one asset nobody knew existed. The crowd watched as Ethan struggled to process what he was reading. Years of pain, years of humiliation, years of believing he had failed. And now, in a single moment, everything had changed. But the greatest surprise was still ahead. Richard explained that the helicopter was not there simply to deliver documents. It was there to take Ethan somewhere important. Several hours later, Ethan found himself flying above mountains, bathed in golden sunlight. The world below looked peaceful, distant from the chaos he had endured. For the first time in years, he felt hope. The helicopter landed at a private innovation campus owned by Richard's investment group. Inside, Ethan learned the full truth. Many of the engineers working there had built projects inspired by Ethan's early research. They admired his creativity, leadership, and integrity. Richard believed Ethan had been buried under personal struggles, but his talent remained untouched. An extraordinary opportunity awaited him. They wanted him to lead a new company focused on aviation technology and humanitarian transportation systems. The offer was worth millions. But something inside Ethan hesitated. For years, success had consumed his life. He had already learned the cost. Money was not what mattered most anymore. That night, sitting alone in a guest suite overlooking a lake, Ethan stared at Lily's photograph. The next morning, he accepted the position on one condition: his schedule would prioritize family. He would never sacrifice his daughter again. Months passed. The company flourished under Ethan's leadership. New projects attracted global attention. Investors lined up. Engineers from around the world joined the mission. The company developed innovative aircraft capable of delivering emergency supplies to remote communities during disasters. Profits grew rapidly. But the most meaningful changes happened far away from boardrooms. Ethan attended school events. He helped Lily with homework. He coached her soccer team. He listened when she talked about her dreams. For the first time in years, he was not simply providing for his daughter. He was present. As Lily grew older, she noticed the difference. The sadness that once lived behind her father's smile slowly disappeared. One evening, during a charity event organized by Ethan's company, Lily stood beside him as hundreds of guests gathered in a large ballroom. A video presentation showed aircraft delivering medicine to isolated villages, rescuing families during floods, and bringing hope to communities in crisis. When the lights came back on, the audience erupted into applause. Lily looked up at her father, with pride shining in her eyes. At that moment, Ethan realized something important. The helicopter outside the courthouse had never been the true miracle. The miracle was the chance to rebuild his life with better priorities. The miracle was discovering that losing everything had forced him to become the man he should have been all along. Years later, Ethan often returned to the courthouse area for business meetings nearby. Each time he passed those steps, he remembered the broken man who walked out believing his future was over. He remembered the fear, the loneliness, the heartbreak, and he remembered the helicopter descending from the sky. People often assumed the story was about sudden wealth. It was not. The real story was about resilience. It was about refusing to quit when life seems unfair. It was about understanding that setbacks do not define your future. Most importantly, it was about love, because, in the end, the greatest thing Ethan gained was never money, success, or recognition. It was the opportunity to be the father his daughter deserved. Before we finish, if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Secret CEO Stories for more emotional and inspiring journeys. Special request: comment below with the words, "Never give up," if you believe that even the darkest chapter of life can lead to a beautiful new beginning. As the sun set over the city one final time, Ethan watched Lily laugh beside him. The painful memories of the divorce no longer controlled his future. He had learned that life sometimes removes what you think you need, so it can make room for what truly matters. And on the day he walked out of court with nothing, fate quietly proved that his greatest chapter had only just begun.